Hi, good morning. Hello. Hi, everybody. Nice to meet you. Thanks for coming to this really weird room. It's so creepy in here and small. I just emailed the academic coordinator, so hopefully we can find a bigger space so that not everyone is like sitting on the floor at the back. That sucks. I'm so sorry. So stay tuned for an announcement. Hopefully we can find another space for next class. But in the meantime, I'll just try to keep today super short and sweet so we can get out of here and breathe some fresh air. Welcome to DM2. My name is Sarah. I'm going to be your instructor this term. This is my fourth or fifth time teaching this class, so I'm getting to be an old veteran. I graduated from Sala a couple years ago, and I've been working as a designer at Human Studio Architecture and Urban Design, where we laugh a lot, obviously, LOL. We're doing some research on how to make buildings more friendly, so I get to use a lot of my design media skills super frequently at the office, which is really cool. This was my graduation. This was my grad thesis in 2020. It was like right during COVID times, so pretty bleak affair. But these were some of the drawings I did when I was in school. So definitely a design media nerd, and it's my hope that I'll be able to kind of like pass on some of the things I learned when I was a student on to you. Hopefully save you some heartache and give you some skills for communicating information about your projects that will kind of help you establish strong narratives about the work that you're starting to explore in your semester. So that's some info about me. So now about you guys. So last semester, DM1, you guys were with Riley, right? Riley's the best. He's so good. And you were going through so much, getting hit with a lot all at once of the basics of just trying to get you up and running with drafting, drawing, and 3D modeling in Rhino. So kind of a crash course. This semester in DM2, we're going to take a little more time to breathe and try to explore how to get a little more nuanced with some of the tools that you've already learned. So we'll be doing kind of a refresher on Rhino, so don't worry if Rhino hates you still. Don't worry, we'll get there with it. We'll touch a lot on digital fabrication in the first couple weeks of class, so we'll get you up and running on the 3D printers and laser cutters. I think you guys got ripped off with the laser cutters last semester, so hopefully you'll get some vengeance this semester. And then we'll also focus a bit on parametric design, so thinking with computation and using a software called Grasshopper to explore kind of like algorithmically working inside of Rhino, which sounds scary, but it's actually really fun. And then at the back end of the class, maybe some motion media stuff if we have time at the end of the semester. I'm going to go over our syllabus, which hopefully should be posted on Canvas. So I'll go through this kind of file in more detail. Has everyone been able to access Canvas okay? Did everyone get my little missive yesterday? Cool. Okay, you're all here, so I imagine you found class okay. I'll just pull up Canvas so we can take a look at what we've got here. I've tried to keep the layout super simple, so you should see like not too much info. When you go to our little homepage for the semester, the syllabus should be right up at the top. If I make any changes to it, I'll let you know and post a revised copy here as well. I'm going to record every lecture. I'm recording this one as we speak, and I'm going to upload them to a YouTube playlist, which I'll link right here. So you should be able to hang on to it in perpetuity, so don't worry about if you forget any info. You've got it on the cloud. So there's a lot of what looks like assignments here. Don't worry, we'll talk about those ones in a second. There's like really not too much work in this course, hopefully. Should be nice and easy. All of your assignments will be under the assignments tab. Announcements, again, I'm hopefully just going to reach out to y'all through Canvas instead of trying to work through the weird email system UBC has. So please make sure you've got your notifications turned on so that you can hear from me. Please let me know if you have any issues getting messages from Canvas. And then any files we're going to use for tutorials for the class will be listed under the Files tab. I'll also be sure to upload your grades and such to Canvas on hopefully speedy basis. But for now, we're just going to go through that first syllabus file. Should be kind of the only thing that exists on Canvas at this point. First things first, on our cover page, we've got all of the contact info for me. This is my nice UBC email. I'm not going to have regular office hours, but you can schedule a time to chat with me at any time. Just reach out. And then we also have two lovely TAs returning for a second time to this course this semester. So they're old pros at this stuff, which is great. We've got Danica and Leah up at the front here. They're so lovely and approachable and kind. So if I annoy you, they're a much better resource. So please reach out with any questions to them. Are these the best emails for you both? Still? Maybe not.
I might switch mine, but I can send it to you.
Okay. So stay tuned for updated emails. And then hopefully we'll also be able to schedule some regular standing office hours with our TAs. So that there will be kind of like a standing time. You can go chat with them and work through any issues that you might be having. As a first pass, I usually recommend reaching out to maybe all three of us or me and someone else, just because my email response time is just like really poor. I'm so sorry. I'm just really overwhelmed. There's so much going on. So yeah, if you don't hear from me, please just like poke me again and I'll do my best to get back to you as soon as possible. When and where, hopefully this is going to change. This room's so weird. Wednesday and Friday, 11 to 12:20. I'll try to wrap up class 10 minutes early so you've got some time to go to your next one. Do you guys have class right after this one or do you have a break? Break. Okay, good stuff. I'll definitely try my best to not run over. My goal this semester is to try to kind of only yap for about an hour and then give the last half hour or so of the class to kind of work through what we've covered. So I'll do my best to try to keep it short and sweet. DM2, what is DM2? Basically, yeah, we're just going to focus on industry standard software suites. So we're going to be using Rhino, Grasshopper, and Adobe Speech. So Grasshopper is something that exists inside of Rhino already. You don't have to install it, so don't worry about it. We'll burn that bridge when we get to it. But again, this is just going to be kind of like a software-focused class. Please come and be nice when you do. Those are the only expectations. The software you're going to need to have installed, hopefully you should already have Adobe Creative Cloud and Rhino in some form. We'll touch a little bit on some stuff in Rhino 8. So if you don't have Rhino 8, that's totally fine. You don't need to upgrade at all. There's just some kind of like nifty tools in Rhino 8 that are kind of worth chatting about. So you're welcome to always download like the 90-day free trial or something if you want to use it for a semester. And then there's some extra stuff down at the bottom. Don't worry about these right now. We'll talk about those kind of later on in the semester as we get to them. There's also some good support resources just for like places to look if you have questions about what we're covering. I'll definitely recommend the Sala Media Kickstart board. That one was put together also during scary COVID times, but the students did a really nice job just like collating a bunch of information about design media stuff on Miro. So there's a ton of resources here that are actually really great. And all of the book references are stellar. So, they have good taste, which is good. So definitely worth checking that one out. I think it's still up online. Other resources. Oh, come on. Where'd you go? Here we go. Other resources are, we always recommend like a Lynda account, which I think you can get for free through Vancouver Public Library if you have a library card, which I always recommend. And then some other kind of more specific Grasshopper resources, but don't worry about those ones too much yet. AI is also an interesting resource for this class specifically. I think in other classes you might find in the syllabus there's a little AI blurb that's like, don't use it. But this class is totally fine. It can be really helpful. So we'll chat about that also later on in the semester. But for now, in terms of where the course is going to live, everything should be on Canvas. So hopefully we won't be asking you to use too many platforms. Syllabus, assignments, class files, everything's going to be uploaded and moderated through Canvas. In terms of attendance, in previous years I've taken attendance, but this year I'm just going to move away from that. Obviously, it would be ideal if everyone could come to every class, but life doesn't usually work like that. So not going to take attendance this year. We're just going to try to evaluate participation in a slightly different way. That said, if you have any health problems, conflicts, or concerns, please do chat with me as soon as you can. And if you miss any class because of illness or disability, please just like keep me in touch so that we can make sure that you're still on track for the semester. If you have a documented disability and you need any kind of accommodation, please come chat with me. There's lots we can do to just be more flexible with deadlines and submissions and stuff. So, but sometimes we do have to go through specific accommodations through UBC. But there's lots of good stuff we can do to support you. So just let me know. In terms of evaluation, so instead of taking attendance, we're going to be doing this thing called checkpoints, which are just like little mini submissions on a weekly basis, depending on whatever we're covering that week in class. So 30% of your grade is just going to be made up of these tiny little checkpoints. Really easy. There's 10 of them, so 3% each. And basically, if you come to class and do the tutorials that we're doing in class, you should be golden. And then there's 2 other assignments that will make up the rest of your grade this semester. So overall, hopefully should be a really light course load. I'm optimistic that you won't have to do too much work outside of class at all. So again, everything's going to be submitted through Canvas. In terms of grading, like how we're going to grade these assignments and checkpoints, so each assignment will have its own criteria that I'll provide, kind of like a little rubric for you with those 2 specific assignments. These ones, assignment 1 and 2, they'll all have their own kind of assessments. But for these checkpoints, these little kind of repeating weekly submissions, those will all be graded on the same scale, so same 5-point scale. So really consistent way of evaluating if you're following along or not. It'll be out of 5, basically. You'll get a point for submitting anything. So if you upload a selfie, you'll get a point. It's great. If you follow along and it seems like maybe you're missing the mark, you're not quite reaching what we got to in class, you can get a 2 out of 5 for submitting something where it's like, okay, that's not quite right, but you're trying. And then that kind of gives us a cue to like check in with you and make sure that you're understanding the material a little bit better. It's helpful for me as feedback to see if things are making sense to everyone. And then if you follow along, submit everything as we've done kind of in class, you'll get a 3-point grade here, just kind of demonstrating that you understand what's going on in class, which is really great. You'll get a bonus point, so 4 out of 5 if you submit by 5 p.m. the same day. It may seem cruel to try to make you submit so fast, but it's really trying to be kind by just encouraging you to come to class, do it during class, and then move on with your life and not have to think about it anymore. So this is just incentive to finish these day of and kind of move on and not have to think about them. And then this last point to get a full 5 out of 5 is just like taking what we've done in class and expanding on it in some sort of new context. I'll hopefully explain that a little more clearly once we come up to an actual checkpoint in class. But basically it's just like if you want to get that extra little brownie point, showing that you understand the material by like expanding on it slightly. Please don't work too hard. The goal of this class is to not work very hard at all. So that's ideally where you'll be by the end of the semester. In terms of late policy, gonna unfortunately have to put a little late fee of 5% for each day that any assignments are late. So that's these 2 assignments, the big blue chunks there. 5% chunk will be taken off each day that they're late, just to try to keep everybody on track. That said, if you have any issues or concerns, please just come and chat with me, and we can always make exceptions if you're struggling. Checkpoints on the other hand, so these little ones that we're grading out of 5, I won't be accepting them beyond 7 days from when they're kind of issued. So by the same time the following week, that'll be kind of like the cutoff, and I'm just not going to accept them anymore because A, don't want you to worry about it, B, just want you to kind of like keep up with the material and not feel dragged down by what's come before. Does that make sense for the most part? Any questions about that? So far, so good. Okay. We'll whip through the schedule. So this should be the 4th page of the syllabus, just like a visual of where we're going for the semester. The first 2 weeks of this class are a little bit different. Most of the time, we're just going to be sitting, running through tutorials each class. I'll yap at you for the first hour or so, and then we'll work through any issues in the last half hour. The first week is going to be a slight exception. These two little yellow boxes, we're going to do some 3D printer and CNC / laser cutter training with the fellas in the shop at LeSerre. So have you guys had a chance to meet Graham and David yet? Yeah, they're the best. So they're just gonna walk you through the specifics of using the 3D printers. You do need to kind of prove that you can use them without breaking them before we set you loose on them. So your first assignment is going to be a 3D printing assignment, that assignment number 1. And we'll talk about that a little bit next week on next Wednesday. So a week from today, we'll chat about that. But just know that for this Friday and the following Friday, these two little yellow bubbles, we're going to be down in the workshop in LeSerre, not in a classroom. So these are two kind of quick exceptions just to get you up and running on those 3D printers as soon as possible. In terms of kind of where you need to be for these next 2 Fridays, we've split the class into 2 sections. So group 1 and group 2, group 1 in pink, group 2 in blue. This is on page 5 of the syllabus if you want to check for which group your name is in. I just asked Canvas to like randomly split it for me, so there's no method to the madness. Just figure out where your name is on this list. If you're in group 1, that means that you're going to be attending the tutorial this Friday, so that's Friday the 10th. That's just for group 1 only. And if you're in group 2, you'll be attending training on the 17th, so Friday the 17th. So group 1 will be getting 3D printered on this Friday. Group 2 is going to be able to sleep in, which is great. A nice long free morning. You'll get the day off if you're not being trained. And then the following week, group 2 will be attending training and group 1 will be chilling. So that's the idea. It's then split into groups A and B within each group, and that's just kind of determining where you start. So we're gonna have I think we're gonna have David in room 5 running the 3D printers, little demos, and then we'll have Graham in the workshop talking about the CNC and the laser cutter. So halfway through the session, we'll just swap you guys over. And so if you're in group A, please make your way to LeSerre room 5 in the basement. And if you're in group B, head straight to the workshop. And then ditto for the following week, just splitting between those 2 groups. And then we can swap halfway through. LeSerre room 5, if you haven't been there, everyone's been to the workshop in LeSerre, right? Yeah, it's just like right across the hall from there. So if you're lost, I'll stand in the hallway and show you to the right direction. If for whatever reason you can't make whichever session you're assigned to, if you get sick or if you're away, just go to the other one. It really doesn't matter which one you attend as long as you attend one of them. So we'll be there this is the only time we'll be taking attendance really throughout the semester, just to make sure that you are exposed to the right material before you use the 3D printers. So we'll be taking attendance. Please make sure that you check in with me or your TAs to check your name off the list so that I don't have to worry about following up with you later on. You don't have to email me if you're going to a different session than the one that you're scheduled for, but just make sure that you do kind of check your name off the list when you do attend. If you can't make either session for some reason, shoot me an email and we'll try to work around that, but that would suck. So please try to be at either the first one this Friday or the second one next Friday. Any questions about that? Is it clear? Okay. Cool. So that's this week. You won't hear from me this week. It's just going to be Graham and David speaking this Friday and the following Friday. Next Wednesday, we will be revisiting Rhino and kind of going over different workflows, maybe a little bit different than Riley would have used it last semester. So just little tips and tricks and stuff for getting back into the swing of things. We'll also chat about your first 3D printing assignment then. But your first checkpoint for the class is just going to be attending one of these 2 sessions. So you'll get a full 5 points just for being there and checking your name off the list, which is great. After the next 2 weeks, we'll be kind of back in Rhino land. And so we will be playing around with a different type of modeling inside of Rhino that's a little more organic and fluid called sub-D modeling. That'll be your second checkpoint. We'll have a little like in-class tutorial or exercise you'll follow along with, and then just have to upload a screenshot of what you've done to Canvas. We'll also go over 3D printer file prep for your assignment. And then after that, we start getting into some more complex parametric software and design. So if you're not familiar with parametric design or Grasshopper or computational design, it can be a little bit intimidating. This is what the interface can look like sometimes. You can get a real spaghetti kind of mess in the software. But we'll take it really slow and try to make it easy and clear for everyone. Computational design, parametric design is really just about working with flexibility. And instead of clicking to physically kind of click, 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 make geometry inside of Rhino, instead we're setting up systems and relationships so that you can change the kind of relative value between objects. Set up a system instead, and then play around with how that system expresses itself. It sounds complicated, but it's not that bad. We'll get into it. I used it a ton in school. I think it's a really valuable tool moving forward. Just socially, we're getting really computational. There's computation everywhere, so I think it's really great background for everyone to have moving forward. And then after reading week, so that's what we'll be focusing on up until kind of mid-late February. After that, we'll still be in kind of Grasshopper land, but using it less for the parametric kind of modeling and design stuff, and more focused on mapping and representing data, which is really useful for building context maps, 3D models of the sites that you're working with. And we'll end up being able to produce some more complex kinds of drawings using Grasshopper and Rhino that would otherwise, if you had to do it manually, just be so annoying. And then the last couple weeks of class, we'll focus back on rendering a little bit. We'll just kind of like double down on texture mapping, setting up renderings, using Enscape and stuff for rendering still images, possibly video if we have a chance to get to it. The last couple classes, we're just going to have optional drop-in help sessions so you can kind of focus on your studio project if you like. And then our final assignment will be due on April 4th. We'll have a big kind of in-class pinup for that one. But that's the schedule for the most part. The last page of the syllabus is just some kind of like boilerplate information. There's some good resources in the mental health section. And the last chunk under academic integrity is just asking you not to cheat. In terms of mental health, we've definitely seen students kind of expressing much more like stress and anxiety in the past couple of years, so you're absolutely not alone. And I definitely had some tough goes when I was in grad school and undergrad, so I can totally relate. And if you ever need any kind of space with your assignments or just someone to chat to, please do reach out, because we understand, and your program is really hard, and it doesn't have to be that hard. So please be gentle with yourselves, and reach out if you ever need any assistance. I think that's pretty much everything that we have to rip through today, so we can kind of get out of here pretty early. Does anybody have any questions about the course content? It's all making sense? Yeah. So both assignments will be individual, but hopefully not too much effort. We'll chat about your first 3D printing assignment next Wednesday, but you'll end up producing this kind of like big 3D carpet all together, but individual pieces. Yeah, good question. Yeah.
For like Enscape, do we have to pay for it, or?
No, please don't pay for it, no. Well, hopefully, I still have to chat with the program administrators, but we'll hopefully either be able to